Hey everybody, I am going to resin my parents' table. So this is the boring part where I mix the resin, but a lot of you always want to see how it's done. I am using Stone Coat, the countertop epoxy, and to be honest with you, I am supposed to be wearing a mask right now, which I left at home. So if you don't see me tomorrow, you'll know why. Alright. Oh, this is different. So one is the hardener, one is the resin. And I'm trying to... Oh, there we go. I got it.
Camera pointed down at her?
It is pointed down. That's my mom. So I put it into the art resin calculator, even though this is an art resin brand, and it said, what did it say, 86?
86.
86 ounces. Oh my God, now I know why. This stuff stinks. The art stuff does not smell this bad. Oh, and I'm gonna, okay. So I'm gonna pour the stuff in here and then pour in here because this isn't big enough. This only goes to 64. So just to make sure I have enough, I'm filling this to 48 ounces with both of these. Okay, this is...
Is that big enough?
Yeah, this is 60, okay. I got it. So I'm gonna, whoa. Okay, so what did I say, 48. And it pours kind of like glue. So I've never used a countertop epoxy, but this has heat.
Are you going to want to scrape it out of there?
Huh? I got a paint stick.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. We might be here all day.
Can you squeeze that out?
Ah, there we go. Oh my gosh, I wonder if this is going to use the whole thing.
Holler if you need some milk.
Alright. So far I'm at 32 ounces. Okay, there, we just got a big... So I can't remember how much the cost of this resin was. Was it like...
Package was, I think, 80 or 90.
Okay. So it's about 80 or 90, and I did use, I believe, a coupon code on it. All right, so it's up to 48, so I'm pouring it in here. And I'm going to use a paint stirrer to and get it all out. Theoretically, the best thing would be if I had another one of these containers to put the other in so that it's exactly 50-50, because there could be some, or there will be a little bit of residue at the bottom of this. But, I mean, they make a tiny allowance for human error. I'm going to try my best to get this out. But this stuff is seriously like glue. This is very different from art resin. And it's different from their art, because they now have an art resin product. That would have sucked. And keep in mind, if you spill any of this, it will be sticky and never dry if you spill it by itself. If once it's made and you spill it, it will harden. But this stuff is awful. So we have spread out tarp, and I'll show you. We use sawhorses and, well, my dad came up with it. Sawhorses and poles and a sheet to protect anything from falling into it from the ceiling. All right, so now I'm going to pour the hardener to 48, and this should be a lot thinner. Yeah, that just pours out easy, like water. Even sound effects. Now I can't smell it anymore. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Can you smell it over there, Dad?
Mm-mm. Unless I'm losing my eyesight.
And that affects your nasal sense of smell. Alright, I think I have scraped out everything I can. And now I have to stir this for 2 minutes.
Want me to put the lid on that container?
Actually I will. You're not going to want to touch it. Oh, I could see if... Yeah, they're about equal. You want to keep an eye on 2 minutes for me? Usually I count in my head. Oof, stanky. So excited to see this table. So this, hopefully I don't need to put another coat of this on, because that means I have to buy a whole nother gallon of this stuff. So I mean, this table, but I suppose for refurbishing a table, it's, you know, we're refurbishing it for about $100, so that's pretty good. So I'm really trying to get in here and scrape the sides. It's not easy to stir. Are you whistling? Are you counting in your head? My dad is counting in his head. Even though there's like 300 cell phone devices, computers, clocks. And usually I can kind of tell when it's getting ready to be done because it gets clear.
In 2 minutes.
Well, it's not really clear yet, so I'm going to stir it a little bit longer. And I have not been stirring vigorously enough. Usually when it gets a little bit easier to stir, it's getting ready, but also I'm assuming that when you stir, it's heating up a little, and which makes it move easier. Wouldn't you say?
Never worked with it before. Are you gonna need another paint stick? Clean
No.
one?
No.
Okay.
Alright, switch gloves. I'm going to angle you to to the table. And I'm going to double glove now because it makes it easier when you go to clean it or to torch it. You can take one glove off and the other is still on.
Oh, you got two?
Yep. And I also have my trusty hairnet on, which I always wear when I resin because it makes me look cool and it protects. Unless some of you want like little pieces of my DNA. All right. Oh my God, I'm like, okay, I'm in. Oh, and I did put tape around the edges, kind of hoping to contain it a little so it doesn't spill on my feet immediately. And I just really hope this is enough resin. A lot of people use like a plastic tool for this, but I like using my hand. You can use whatever you're most comfortable with. This takes, I cannot remember offhand, but it does say on Stone Coat's website, to cure for the heat resistancy, I'm gonna say at least a month. I mean, I think you could use it definitely before that, but not with anything hot. But there is enough left over in those bottles so I can do that new Lazy Susan that I just poured. Because the Lazy Susan I have on Etsy right now, which is gorgeous. That was done in just regular art resin. So it has some heat resistancy, I think to 250. But it's a Lazy Susan, not a trivet. So, but this one that I'm doing will have, you know what, and I don't even think I needed this much. I probably mixed up. Well, I mixed up, what's 48 plus 48? That would be 80.
96.
Ah, well, that would be why. I mixed up 10 ounces too much. But you know, it's better to have too much than too little. And this table does, because I know a lot of you get worried when things aren't perfect. This table does have the textured sides from the pour. You know, when the paint dried at different rates, you can see the paint drips on the side, on the sides. And my dad and I talked about sanding them, and then we decided that we liked the textured appearance, that kind of made it a very unique piece. So we left it like that. And you guys know me by now that I kind of wing things, and I like different things, so I kind of like it. You can look at it, and those areas are really interesting areas. We're a little bit more out. Oh, I realized I was standing right. You were just staring. You just had like a huge close-up of my back. Ooh, without the mask and I'm enclosed in plastic, this is probably really good.
Mm-hmm. Don't need a cocktail hour tonight.
No. Flying high the rest of the day. Or dead, one of the two. Use this picture for lemonade later.
Yeah.
You can hear the pitter patter of it dripping down. And we made sure this table was really level before we got started. Okay, I'm going to pull that tape.
You think you wanna pull it off now?
Yeah. Because otherwise I'm gonna have,
A ridge?
you'll have spots that don't have resin.
Oh, okay.
But we're gonna have to sand the bottom of this table though. I wonder,
That's tenacious tape.
well, crap! Maybe we shouldn't have used Gorilla Tape. Cause see, then we can get it. So if we leave the tape. Oh, but it's nice, it took off the excess paint underneath, so that's good. So I'm gonna have to be very careful where I step.
I was gonna help you, but the gloves don't.
No,
fit.
you don't wanna get in this. Alright, so this part's really, really messy. But I would, Dad, I'll leave those gloves and every so often run your finger around the edge so that it doesn't, because otherwise those are a pain in the ass to sand off. God, they aren't kidding this Gorilla Tape, are they? So I'm gonna go around and make sure the sides are covered. The stuff spreads really easily though, so that's nice. Shoot. I really don't want this on my feet. You know what, I'm just gonna leave that puddle in the middle because it should self-level itself. Oh, man. All right, so I'm taking off this first layer of glove. And I'm going to torch.
Be careful of that.
Yeah. See, none of this seems very safe. You have to torch to get the air bubbles out, otherwise it will look horrible. You can see the air bubbles pop.
Yes. I can see it.
I see even, have I even gone over there? Alright, I'll go back over it, but now I'm gonna pick out stuff. Alright, flashlight and toothpick, please. It is really hot. So now I'm just going through to make sure there are no, yeah, I still see a ton of air bubbles, but making sure there's nothing like hair or string or dust, or I really should have worn flip-flops. And often if you go down to eye level, you can then see if there's stuff. And so far all I am finding is air bubbles that still need to be popped. Oops. Sorry, dudes. Yeah. looks very smooth. I'm not seeing any lumps, bumps, air bubbles. Usually with my paintings, I tape off the bottom, but I didn't do that here, so that's why I told my dad that he's gonna put a glove on and just run his finger. Like probably once an hour for a couple hours. And what we don't get off, we can sand or use a razor blade and a heat gun. So not all is lost if you do get the, so it's stalactites or mites that come from the top?
Tights,
Tights.
because I have to hang on.
Oh, that's a good way to remember it. You want to hand me the torch again? Man, I'm sweating. I want to reiterate again, using resin without a mask is not safe. And being inside a plastic thing with a torch and resin is probably not the safest. So, I am not legally responsible for anything that you do in your own home. Is that right? Am I now legally free?
Sounds like a good disclaimer to me.
All right, he's an attorney, so there we have it. I think it's good. All right. So I'm going to take you up here so I can show you the setup we got. So sawhorses, sticks, and plastic. And there's the table. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.